I recently posted this video where we go over how to create your own MACD momentum strategy on NinjaTrader using the Predator signal system. Well, after talking to some of you guys over on Discord, there were really two main things that kept coming up. The first was we needed a way to get a bit of a higher quality entry. The original version kept entering on places where maybe the price was pulling back a little bit and that momentum was lost. So we wanted a way to avoid these sort of entries where maybe the price wasn't trending in the proper direction. And the second thing that kept coming up was maybe it was a little bit too complex for some of the newer members to actually set this up. With the original version, you have to use all of the plot signals and align everything inside the Predator. But what we've done today was we just simply combined everything into one single indicator. So all you have to do now is simply type in that entry signal inside the Predator, and it's going to automatically take this entire setup for you. Now, a few things before we get started, just some questions I know I'm going to get. The first is this indicator profitable? That is a valid question, and my answer to that is I would never claim anything is profitable. This particular setup is just something I've personally been backtesting, something I started testing live on my Apex accounts, and I'm just sharing this because I know a lot of you guys over on Discord were looking for something similar. So is it going to be long-term profitable? I don't know. But as you can see from this account, I just managed to fund this 25K Apex account. Now with this, I started running this. It was Thursday the 7th. I started running with the original version that I posted the other day. Since then, we had 2 losing days. The rest of them were winners. We ended this week, it was a little bit in the green, nothing to write home about. But starting Monday, the 18th, that's when I actually started running this new indicator. Since then, all 3 days have been winners. I posted all the P&Ls over on Discord. Again, guys, is this going to be profitable long term? I don't know yet. I just have my backtesting results. So all I've been doing is just taking those backtest results and I put them on an Apex eval account. No real money yet, but hopefully we end up getting there. Again, I can't tell the future, but this is just what I'm sharing along the way. So make sure you do your own backtesting, use this at your own risk. Now, the next question I know I'm going to get is, Dre, where do I buy this indicator? And my answer to that is you don't. I'm making this indicator completely free for anyone to use. You're going to be able to download it for free over on my website, tradesaber.com/indicators, or I'm probably also going to post it over on Discord inside the template rooms. So whether you're a free trial member for the Predator or a lifetime, you'll have access to this indicator. So that should just about cover all of those main questions I'm going to get. Now, let's head over to our charts. I want to go over how this indicator works, how it differs from the original version, and how we can use it to automate with the Predator. Now, with the original version, there are really 2 main problems when it comes to the entries themselves. The first one comes with the times and when everything aligns in order to enter the trade. And what I mean by that is our strategy starts at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. That's the time I have it set to. That's when I want to enable this and let it run. Now, the problem is if you get some sort of a signal from before that 9:30 a.m. So like we got here, we got a green up arrow. With the current version, if you have it set with all the plots and you have your time filter set as well, what ends up happening is by the time it hits that 9:30 a.m., it's just going to enter you into the trade. Even though the move may have already been exhausted, as long as everything is on the correct side of the market, it's going to still take that as a valid entry and get you into the trade. And that brings me to my second and pretty much the same related point to it is if the move is already exhausted, sometimes you get these choppy price actions where the price is just moving up and down, and it just happens that all of your indicators are aligned in one direction without any sort of movement, any follow through. So for an example, the MACD might be coming down, your momentum might be on its way down, and just because everything is in alignment, it's above 0, it's still going to enter you. Obviously, this may not be the best time to enter if everything is starting to go against you. So what we did with this indicator is we just made sure there's only one valid entry per move. So over here, because we had our one entry signal, that's this up arrow, but it was before 9:30. By the time 9:30 comes along, it's not going to enter you into the trade because the move was before the market started. So with that, it helps you avoid these entries at the beginning when your time is just starting. And then to ensure everything is trending in the same direction, we just made a condition to ensure that our momentum and our MACD and our EMAs are all moving in the same direction before it enters the trade. So we get a more precise entry and we make sure that entry is actually trending in our direction. And we did all of that by adding everything you see here into one single indicator. So this red and green histogram that you see here, that's the same as your momentum squeeze indicator. So as it's going up, it's going to be dark. Once it starts trending down, it's going to be light. Same thing if you're going short. As it's going down, it's going to be dark. As it's going back up, the move is weakening, it's going to be a lighter red. So we can get rid of that one. And you also have your MACD as well. This one may be a little bit harder to see. I may need to play around with the visuals, but for now it should work just as well. You're going to see your blue histogram is right here. And this one we also added a strong and a weak momentum. So as your MACD diff is going up, it's going to be this darker blue. Once the MACD starts weakening, it's going to turn a lighter blue. Same thing for your MACD going short. As the MACD starts increasing to the short side, it's going to be this dark orange. And as it's weakening, it's going to be a lighter color. So we don't need to add this MACD anymore. And we also added the EMA into the mix, and those are represented by these red and green dots. If the fast EMA is below your slow EMA, so the 21 is under your 50 EMA, you're going to see these red dots. If your fast EMA is above the slow, you get the crossover, it's going to turn into a green dot, represented right here, as you can see. Then we cross back below, it turns red. So that way you always know which direction your EMAs are facing. So we don't need to add those EMAs either. We just need to add this TradeSaber MACD momentum, and it's going to put everything into the same panel. All right, so here we have both setups. On the left-hand side, we have the original version, and over here on the right side, we have our brand new indicator. And on both of these, I have the exact same chart. I'm using a 233 tick. Again, this is a Fibonacci level. If you remember from my last video, I have seen decent results with it, and it gets me through the trading day a lot faster as well. So that's what I'm using for this example. Again, we'll probably explore different bar types, different time frames. This is just what's been working for now. And on both of these, I have 90 days loaded. This is what I'm going to do a historical backtest on. You can load more days if you want, if you're backtesting, but the more days you have, the longer it's going to take to load. So for me, I'm just looking at the last 90 days, and I have that for both of these right now. And for the actual Predator X settings, we're using the same order management from the last video. So let's scroll down to the order management section, and we're using a 120 tick stop loss. And don't worry about these empty boxes. I'm working on the next set of updates. There's some pretty cool things coming, but just ignore those boxes for now. But we have an initial 120 tick stop loss, an ATR trail stop set at 2.1 times the ATR. That gets triggered when you reach one tick into profit, so basically almost immediately. And you have a final profit target of 120. Our time filter, they're both set at 9:30 a.m. and this is Eastern time zone. So if you're in a different time zone, make sure you adjust. The trade end time, that's 4 p.m. Again, Eastern time. I have not seen this trade, I think, past 10 a.m. So you definitely probably don't need this much. I just have it there as default. But usually this setup is done within the first few minutes of a trading day. It really doesn't take long at all. Only in some cases where you keep kind of breaking even will it keep entering. But again, in the last week and a little bit I've been running this, hasn't happened very often. My realized profit for the day, so if I hit this or higher, it's going to stop taking new trades. This is not going to take me out of a trade. It's just going to prevent new ones if I close above this threshold. Or if I close below $400, so if I lose 400 in a day, again, it's going to stop trading. For me, if I hit one good profit in a day, I don't want to keep going on, because one thing with this indicator is it does give quite a few signals. So I'm basically looking to get in right at market open when you get the most volume, you get the most movement. I want to get one good trade and then I'm done. But usually with the $400 loss, if you don't hit that full initial stop loss of 120 ticks, you should, in most cases, be able to take at least another trade. So basically, if I hit one loss, try again. Or if I hit one winner, we're good for the day. So once I reach either one of those, done for the day. And the plot signal system, again, is the exact same as the last video. I'm not going to go over this particular setup because I want to spend more time on the new indicator once we get to that section. But if you're interested in the plot signal system and how to set this up directly through the Predator, watch the last video. We cover this in a lot more detail. But I am just going to do a historical backtest on this one. And that way we can compare both of them and see the slight changes that we made in order to improve it a little bit. All right, so here we have everything loaded on the chart. Let me scroll back to the start of the day, see where we get our entries. Like I said, this only takes really the first few entries, and it's not meant to be trading all day. So again, guys, this is the original setup that we posted the other day. And all this is doing is it's looking for a confluence of your MACD, your momentum squeeze, and your EMAs as well. So what it's looking for is making sure your 21 EMA is above your 50 EMA. It's making sure the momentum squeeze indicator is above 0, so it's in the green. And it's also making sure the MACD diff, that's the blue histogram right here, that it's above 0. That just means your MACD line is above the red signal line. And it's also just making sure that MACD line itself is also above 0. So when you get all of those combined in the same direction, that's when it's going to enter you into a trade. So as you can see here, for the last 90 days, $8,000 profit. And I don't put too much stock into these historical backtests. Honestly, I don't think they're very accurate at all, but it just gives us a good idea of what to expect. So these are the historical backtests. I haven't added commission to these, so just kind of keep that in mind. We have max drawdown, 1875. This would likely blow a 25K account, and realistically, most likely a 50K account as well. But over the 90 days since May 21st to August 19th, it has done actually fairly decent. The percent profitable trades are under 50, which means you are going to lose about half the trades you take. But when it comes to this particular setup, because we start trailing right away, that is going to limit the loss. And oftentimes, if you do end up winning, it's going to be a much bigger winner compared to your losers. So with this particular setup, your average winner is around $350. Your average loser around $220. So $100 difference between your wins and your losses, that would offset your winning versus losing percentage. So again, historical trades, not as accurate as if you were doing market replay or testing live on a sim like we started doing now, but it does give us a quick insight of what to expect. Let me pull this over to a side. Now we're going to shift our focus over to our new indicator. So again, I have all of the exact same settings. The 120 tick stop, ATR, 120 tick profit target, and the same time and P&L settings. And let's just enable that one. And with these, even with the plot signal system, because we're loading 90 days, it is going to take a little bit longer to load. So you just got to give it a minute. All right, perfect. So here we have our new indicator. So let me scroll back to the start of the day here as well. So between both of these, we have slightly different entries, but very similar locations as well. The main difference between both of these setups is just what the indicator is doing at the time of entry. So with this new indicator, we were really trying to focus on the momentum side of things. So we really wanted to make sure we were catching moves as they were trending in a certain direction. What I was finding during some backtesting was a lot, not all of them, but quite a few losers tend to happen when the price is kind of chopping around. So you'd get a lot of momentum in one direction. You get your MACD that keeps increasing, and same with your EMAs. They're all increasing in one direction. And then sometimes just one indicator is not in the right direction, so you may not have caught that initial move. And then what I started finding was the price starts kind of chopping around, and your MACD or your EMAs, they kind of start going up and down, up and down. And then all of a sudden, while the price is doing this sort of chopping around, the conditions to enter just happen to chop up in the right direction, and it enters you into the trade. So what I really wanted to make sure with this new indicator is we're only entering if everything is trending in that same direction. We'll use today as an example. May not be the best example. I'll see if I can scroll back and find other ones. But this is what I mean. Here we could see two slightly different trades. Yeah, that one ended up being a loser. Again, probably not the best example, but it was from today, so we're going to keep things relevant. And of course, like any indicator, this is far from perfect. But let's take a look at this first trade and see why our new indicator avoided that one. So with the original setup, yes, we have our momentum is in the green. Everything's above zero. Our MACD is above zero. Our fast is above the slow. So everything was true at that exact time. Then as soon as 9:30 hit, so 9:30, it enters us into the trade. Now, the problem I'm finding with this is the MACD diff. It started trending down around this time. So to me, the move is starting to lose some of its momentum and no longer has that initial push that's going to keep driving the price up. Again, does this work all the time? Absolutely not. This is far from perfect, but it's just something that I did notice with this particular setup. So as the MACD starts trending down, we enter just because it happens to still be above zero. So the conditions to enter were true. It enters us into the trade. And yes, that ended up being a loser. Now, with this other setup, it ended up being a loser as well. Again, not the best example, but let me go over why this one entered. I'll likely make some visual adjustments before I release this indicator, just to make these bars a little bit easier to see. But what we're seeing here is the momentum is increasing right here. So it goes from a lower to a higher. So that's pushing to the long direction. And our MACD diff, if you look at the data box, you can see that it's increasing in size as well. So each new diff is going up in value. Our MACD lines, again, they're all going up in value. And these green dots, that means our fast is above our slow. So that is also going up in value. So that means when everything is in the right direction, so same thing as our original version, all of our indicators are above zero and our fast EMA is above the slow EMA. But now with this new indicator, all of those same conditions need to be true and they also need to be trending in the same direction. So because everything was trending up, that's where it enters us long. And yes, it took us out. That's a bad example, but overall, it has given us slightly better results. Now let's take a look at the shorts for an example. We had the MACD diff also trending down. And when our EMA, the fast EMA, crossed below the slow, that's when all of our conditions were true. Everything was trending down. It gave us our signal and we entered. And that one ended up going straight to profit. So if we come back out here, everything is fairly similar, but with this new setup, again, it just needs to confirm that same trend. Let's scroll back to a different day, see if we get a few more examples, but I think for the most part, it's very straightforward. Let's go back to yesterday. So here we have both of the charts and you can see many of the same trades, but we also have a few slight differences. So if we actually scroll back to the initial trade, that all seems to enter and exit at the exact same spot for both of them. Same if we look at this second entry. Both of them seem to be exactly the same. But now let's scroll over here. This is actually a decent example of what I'm trying to avoid, but I'm also seeing a few things when it comes to historical. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. Here you can see the price is clearly going down. There really is no reason to enter long, but the momentum indicator just happened to go above zero during this particular candle. Even though our MACD was trending down, EMAs are kind of chopping around. They're just getting the leftover. They haven't quite reached that downtrend yet, but everything is clearly going down. Really no reason to enter long here. But just because everything happened to be on the correct side for a long, it enters us into a trade. These are the main trades that I'm trying to avoid with this new setup. As you can see over here, we're coming down, but because we're trending down with that MACD diff, there is no valid trade here. Again, we want to make sure we're pushing up. Now, we do get another entry right away because everything does start trending up. It just happened to not work out. Now, this is one thing I do want to talk about when it comes to historical trades. I've said it a million times already. I don't really put too much stock into historical trades because they're never going to process things like actual live trading does. There's always going to be some sort of a delayed response. What I mean by this is with the historical backtesting trade, it ended up taking a full loss because it could not process our trail stop in real time. So let me go back to yesterday. The actual trade taken, I think it was this one. So this was the actual trade taken and our trail stop started right away. So when we reach one tick into profit, like I have it set, it's going to bring our trail stop up. That's why we only ended up actually taking a half loss here. So instead of a full $600 loss, it should have really been up here. We ended up taking another loss up here. And then let's scroll back a little bit. So these were live trades. So this one was fairly accurate. I ended up getting actually a slightly better fill. This second one, again, because we had that trail stop that starts right away, it should have been up a little higher. We ended up getting tagged out up here for slightly better than break even, but it would have saved us a small loss. This one should have been a smaller loss as well. It shouldn't have been the full trade. Again, that's just something with historical testing. Sometimes it may even be in your favor, but sometimes like this is not going to process properly. So you either need to do tick replay, which takes much longer, or what I recommend, run it on market replay or live on a sim. So that would have saved us a full loss where we would have entered up here as well. And I believe I was very close. I believe I was at 395 for my P&L loss, slightly more, literally less than one tick away. I think I would have been stopped out this day, but we ended up getting lucky right at the end and we hit a full profit target, which gave us that win. But again, some of these things cannot be processed fully with these historical testing. So take these results with a grain of salt. Nothing's ever going to be as accurate as actually running it live. So when you look at these numbers, make sure you don't take them as fact. Just use them as a threshold to let you know whether you should continue testing something in a more accurate way. So again, when we look at these, our max drawdown does increase quite a bit. I was playing around with some of the numbers. Again, I don't know what the best settings are yet. I'm still playing around with these. But I did find if we increase the ATR a little bit, set our stop a bit farther away during some points where you get a bit of a pullback, it does increase our results dramatically. I'll likely move on to just increasing that initial ATR. I'm also testing different profit targets to take that profit target a little bit quicker. But the main thing I want to make sure I'm doing or not doing is I want to make sure I'm actually giving it enough time to test whatever settings I'm using. I want to make sure that I'm trading the statistics and not becoming one. So this is always the part that takes the longest, is just running it live and trying to get through those winning days, trying to get through those losing days. Because even during backtesting, you are going to get 3, 4, 5 days of losers, maybe a small winner. And yes, it's very easy to do on a historical backtest, but getting through that psychology when you're trading live, it is a much bigger challenge. So as you can see, we did increase the total profit target. Let me get the performance out here. So when we increase that ATR, give it a little bit more room to breathe. I don't know if it's just a historical thing, but it does lower our max drawdown quite a bit. Again, this will likely blow a 25K account. With a 50K account, you'll likely be pretty safe. So your max drawdown goes down, profit goes up. You take less trades because you're taking a higher quality trade. Your average trade will give you more. Same for your average win. Your average loss is going to stay around the same. It goes up a little bit. Again, that 2.5 ATR is going to increase your stop distance. But yes, that's just kind of what I wanted to show when it comes to the backtesting side of things. We do have to backtest quite a bit more, play around with the settings a little bit. So I just really quickly wanted to talk about how this indicator works in case you guys want to mess around with it. You're going to find it in your TradeSaber folder, and it's going to be the TS MACD momentum. And this indicator is very straightforward. It's just mixing your momentum squeeze indicator. That's the same one from the TTM squeeze indicator video I made. This is just the momentum part of it. So you have all of those same settings. You can change the momentum period, the EMA period. They all mix to give us this momentum indicator. You can change the opacity, the colors, anything that you want. Same with the MACD, puts it all in the same panel. You have all of your settings to modify it if you want. The diff is also going to tell you if it's trending up or if it's trending down or if it's dying down as well. You can see that with these colors here as well. Again, very straightforward, just is it going up or is it going down? Your EMA settings, those are your green and red dots in the middle. If you have a green dot, that means the fast EMA, so your 21, is above the 50. If you find a red dot, that means your fast EMA is below your 50 EMA. So you're trending down. Now, the look back bars, this is your trend direction. This is how many bars it looks back to find that trend. So for example, let's go to the momentum. A value of 1 just means the previous bar must be below your current value. So basically, if you have a dark green bar, the previous value was lower, so it's trending up. If you change this to a value of 2, so that means the bar before your current must be lower than your current. The bar before that one must be lower than your previous bar, if that makes sense. We're just looking at how many bars are trending up. If you change this to 5, that means 5 bars in a row must be trending up above each other. And it's the complete opposite for shorts. If you're going short, all the bars must be trending down. or all the values for that specific indicator. So you can do that for your momentum. You can do that for the diff itself. So that is the MACD diff. You can do that for the actual MACD line as well. And you can do that for your EMAs. That means your EMAs must also be trending in that same direction. So that's all it is really. It's the same setup as before, just mixed into one. Now we have the ability to trend in that same direction. You can change these to 0, and that's going to basically have it how it was in the original version. All right, and to quickly go over how to automate this with the Predator X, you simply just open up the Predator. And guys, I have different videos that cover in much better detail how to automate third-party signals. You can check that out in our user guide as well. But as a quick example, you have two options. The first option, and this is what most of you guys that have used the Predator before know, is the object signal. So all this is doing is it's getting the tag from the actual arrows themselves. Those are the draw objects. So for your long entry, the tag itself is just long entry. You can customize this within the indicator if you want, but always make sure you verify that tag. It changes from indicator to indicator. So that's all that you need. And then when you apply, once you get those check marks and it gives you a signal, it's going to enter you into the trade. And just so we don't waste too much time, I'll probably overwrite this with a playback clip. But with the Predator, and this is much faster if you're doing historical backtesting, you can also automate it with the signal plot itself. We have plots that can be used with Strategy Builder, and I'll probably make another video later on. But how we set that up, again, go to your custom signal section, entry signal, and change this to plot mode. All you have to do is for your long is equals a value of 1. For your short entry, it equals -1. So now when we enable and you get the plot mode, you go up to your validation system. Once you see your P&L, you need a price change in the market. Just select the entry signal. Once you have that set up, it's going to enter you into the trade. Once it detects that +1 or -1 signal, those are the same as your arrows right here. So whichever one you want to use, whatever you're more comfortable with. If you're doing backtesting, I do suggest plot mode. It's quite a bit faster, but do whatever you feel is best for you. Anyways, I think I'm going to end the video here. I hope you guys found this video useful. As always, take care, enjoy.